A flag is a symbol of nationality and identification. The earliest recollection of the use of a flag is dated as far back as ancient Egypt. The true ancient Egyptians were Nubian, black, brown, etc. They were descendants from Mizraim, the son of Ham, son of the Apostle Noah. Flags in the ancient Egyptian era were used to denote nationality. Sticks, that hold flags, were not always used. Flags were pieces of cloth that would denote a certain nation. However, during wartime the soldiers used to tie pieces of cloth on a stick and wave it overhead. The colors were red, black, green and white. In June of 1954, an amendment was made to add the words "under God." Then, President Dwight D. Eisenhower said, "In this way we are reaffirming the transcendence of religious faith in America's heritage and future. In this way we shall constantly strengthen those spiritual weapons which forever will be our country's most powerful resource in peace and war." In other words, President Eisenhower was stating, "We built, defended, and will defend this country on our Christian beliefs that are alluded to by adding God." Don't waste precious energy on this. It is good to have a choice whether or not to affirm the Pledge of Allegiance. When a Muslim uses the term Allahu Akbar, which really translates Allah is the oldest, it refers to the Ancient of Days, or the Old Ones, which according to the film Star Wars was Yoda, which is short for Judah. Freemasons are inspired by one entity, and that is a Grey, by the name of Yoda. Yoda guides Freemasonry back to Judah, with the ancient Israel Masonry. The British Covenant of Man symbolizes the empire striking back. America is the empire fighting to overthrow Europe. The word Yoda is not an English word as you have been led to believe. Its root word Yada appears 111 times in the Old Testament, means to give thanks or praise, throw down, cast, shoot. The word Yada meaning, to praise, give thanks stems from the root word Yada and appears only 2 times in the Old Testament, Daniel 2:23, Daniel 6:10. Not to mention the fact Yoda played in the film Return of the Jedi, and the word Jedi is the same as Yeti. It's just a matter of a letter, it's really the same word. Yeti is the name of Sasquatch, Bigfoot, also called Seti, which is equivalent to the extraterrestrials called the Syrians. Refer to scroll number 136 extraterrestrial in creation and scroll number 80 man from the planet Risk. The alleged Jews and other Canaanites, if given the opportunity in the future, will also claim the enslavement of the Nuwapians as enslavement of the Canaanites, as the Jews claim the enslavement of the Egyptian as the enslavement of Jews. For instance, the 430-year bondage that is mentioned in the Torah involving the Israelites enslaved to the Egyptians, was actually the Egyptian bondage to the Hekakasu, captive shepherd, who took over Tamari, Egypt, and suppressed the original people for a time, until their exodus from Tamari, when they were being chased across the sands of the desert. Lo! The one side of you lives by divine law and commands you, "You shall not eat the flesh of any creature that bleeds and breathes the breath of divine life, nor of fish that feed on the carcasses and feces of other fish, that lives in the deep seas, under the waters. Yet, the animal of you says you shall eat what is good and pleasing to you and healthy, because you share a dual nature. Your desire shall be to act upon different emotions at different times. You will want to refrain from eating flesh, but you will desire flesh at the same breath. There is no sin in the consumption of flesh and sea creatures, for your sustenance does not fear for your soul. For it is far beyond the diseases of your body. You shall bathe at least once every day, from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet. And before bathing, you shall say, before you Anu, I will put away the filth of my spirit body, and the disagreeable of my soul. O Anu, help me to make clean my soul. In the daylight hour, when you awaken, you shall say, help me, O Al-Yun El, to keep my thoughts pure this day and my soul full of love and tenderness. In the scroll of Habakkuk 3:3, it tells you that Eloah, which is another way of saying Elo, that's God in the English translation, is coming from Teman, the south, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Habakkuk 3:3, King James Version, KJV, God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. Again, this is telling you that this Eloah came from the south, not from above, or in the heavens, or on a throne, or in the skies, etc. He is coming from the south, which is a geographical location. So how can this God be omnipresent? If he's coming from the south, then he's not in the north, east or west at the same time. 1 Samuel 28:13 supports this by stating that a woman saw gods ascending out of the earth. 1 Samuel 28:13, King James Version, KJV, and the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. This quote is literally telling you those gods, which in this quote is using the name Elohim in the Aramaic/Hebrew language, live beneath the earth. Therefore, your concept of God being in heaven, living in the skies, or having a throne in the heavens is irrelevant due to these quotes. The facts are there, if you take your time and look with an open mind. Stop seeking the myths, and seek the facts. Quote of Philip Tierno, "We're a society that doesn't like to wash our hands, so is there any wonder that areas in an office that multiple people utilize are grossly contaminated?" Philip Tierno, Director of Clinical Microbiology and Immunology at New York University Medical Center. Lo. My sons, I know you by your motherly deeds, I know you as a true mate, many others I have, but you are my beloved. Teach your sons that they cannot associate with all mortals, or those in the image of mortals, but are jinns, and that their very spirits are from the poison wind, of the fire of the disagreeable. Nevertheless, refuse thou not all association because of this. For they are such as their fallen countenance with you who are of the Sarufah, spirits of the pure green light. And, such as are disagreeable to you, sons of disagreeable are nevertheless compatible to others, jinn and man. Man, and jinn who walk the earth, cursed be they until the day you're raised. El-Basur, the seer, have created a large field, his people are numerous, and there are many in the world, so like others, they are as one in all things. Choose such, and as you are one with another, so are you one with the Creator. But, most of all, will, virtue, industry, and good works come into the world by the examples you place before the young. Better is it to hide and subdue your temper in the presence of the young, than to conquer a whole state by force. Solomon was wise in all but domestic affairs. His best choice was Sheba. His worst choice was Canaanites. But Solomon himself was mixed, deluded, and genetically tampered, for David his father, who was also wise in many things, yet unwise in his choice of women, for he married Bathsheba. So even the wise can do foolish things and affect the innocent. Be not a fool, even worse, be not a wise fool. For a wise fool thinks himself wise when he is indeed a fool. For some people, ignorance simply liberates them from the narrow confines of facts. In 1971 AD, Dr. Malachi Z. York L. told the world that the beast named 3666 would be located in Brussels, Belgium. But, no one believed me, yet, the truths which I have been unveiling to the world since 1970 AD, the year the seventh seal was broken, are being used by the so-called teachers of the Sunni Muslims, Jamal Badawi, Ahmed D. and the Christian preachers, Jimmy Swaggart, Herbert W. Armstrong, to name a few, in their religious discussions and pamphlets. But they never once told you the source of their information. I don't mind, as long as the truth gets out. Americans may not realize it, but rules governing the food they eat, the software they use, and the cars they drive increasingly are set in Brussels, the unofficial capital of the EU, European Union, and the home of its executive body, the European Commission. Both of these so-called holy books, Bible and Quran, that you hold in your hand today, were plagiarized and taken from ancient tablets such as the Enuma Elish, which can be found in the Holy Tablets, as a guide for you by Tammuz, one of the Elohim, Aramaic/Hebrew. These beings, signed to you. Originally, the Torah was produced. Then humans came up with the New Testament, subsequently, the Quran. Each copy was getting further away from the original written truth. Zun, also known as Shakar, whom you are calling the devil, 6,000 years ago cast spell of Kingu called Leviathan, aka the spell of sleep. The text was manipulated and used to help enforce the spell of Kingu. Thus, the scriptures that you hold in your hand today are not divinely inspired, and are spellbinding. They, US government of 1993 AD, do not care about children. Did you see what happened out there in Waco, Texas to the Branch Davidians? David Koresh never claimed to be Jesus. Of all his released transcripts, there is not one place in them that he claimed to be Jesus, not one. However, because they have you under the spell of religion, you just accept that. That's how they can say a man says he's Jesus or God, even though he didn't say anything like that. They would say that and have all the Christians believing them. What difference would it make if you said you were Jesus or God? There are plenty of what you call kooks out there. That doesn't make it right for the app to go in and blow up a group of 76 people, including 27 children. The Yaa-Nun massacre began February 28 and climaxed April 19 of 1993 AD in Waco. That's the American way to turn everyone against you and then destroy you, and no one will even think twice about it. Walk in the light of the sun, as if all can see you at all times. Bathe in the light of the sun as if it can, as it does, heal all things. Take each step in its warmth as if the sun is your true loving parent, and think of it as the source of all life, as we all know it is. For without the sun there would be no life, as we know it. This we all know. The Torah contains 613 commandments, most people only know about 10. Tammuz and his 46 helpers originally wrote it, the Torah, in the ancient Aramaic, not the Hebrew, language. They brought it from the Enuma Elish, ancient, pre-Bible tablets, and watered its cuneiform down to Aramaic and Syriac for the Enochites. Mortals. I am not totally endorsing the claims of the History Channel's Egypt, Land of the Gods show. However, one of the many things they did confirm is that during the annual Islam festival at Abu el-Hajjaj boats are paraded around the masjid. This was copied from the festival of Opet that previously occurred in ancient Egypt. The Abu el-Hajjaj masjid is built right in the middle of the ancient so-called paganistic temple of Luxor. If Lazarus was resurrected, why is he not still here today? According to Hebrews 9:27, it is appointed unto men once to die. He should be still walking the earth right now. He died once and was resurrected, so he shouldn't have died again. If he is not here now, he must not have resurrected. He must have died and been revived. Some special people have the power to revive or send electrical currents from their body into another. They can revive the dead. This is the case with Jesus, who revived, not resurrected, Lazarus. Was Jesus the only scriptural reviver? No, Elijah had the power to bring the dead back to life with the Heavenly Father's permission. 1 Kings 17:21-24, King James Version, KJV, and he stretched himself upon the child 3 times, and cried unto the Lord, and said, O Lord my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. And the Lord heard the voice of Elijah, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. And Elijah took the child, and brought him down out of the chamber into the house, and delivered him unto his mother. And Elijah said, See, thy son liveth. And the woman said to Elijah, Now by this I know that thou art a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in thy mouth is truth. Also, Elijah's servant Elisha was able to revive after he received a double portion of Elijah's spirit when he ascended. 2 Kings 2:9-11. The first account is in 2 Kings 4:32-34, and another is in 2 Kings 13:20-21. How can right-minded children be raised? Remember, you are responsible, for you let them, children, imagine themselves to be. Give them clear, historical, traditional foundations of facts which are researchable through the scriptures. Give them characters to liken themselves after other than Superman, the Incredible Hulk, Batman, Michael Jackson, Mr. T, etc. You have to give them examples of people like Osiris, Nefertari, Isis, Amon-Ra, Thoth, Khnum, Hathor, Amun-Ra, or Akhenaten, etc. These are your great Egyptian ancestors, people who knew they were gods. These models are necessary in order for them to utilize the divine majesty which resides as a spark of life in all. Awaken this potential, your majesty of spirit. To arouse it, you must first begin to feel. To feel its existence, an interior presence of sense is necessary. You accomplish this with a series of meditations during which you presently turn your attention within and simply sense these beings as you. Does Christianity hinders wealth? Matthew 27:57. When the even was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea, named Joseph, who also himself was Jesus' disciple. The Greek word used for rich in this is plusios, which means rich, wealthy, abounding in material resources. According to your Bible, the words of Christ are in red, Matthew 19:23-24. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, Verily I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again, I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. If Jesus knew this, why would he allow Joseph to still be one of his disciples? This is how you know that Christianity is a man-made religion, designed to keep the rich rich, and the poor poor. Though we have graduated past this school, Islam, to our ancient ways, we still respect Islam's defunct days of pristine purity. Quran, the reading. Mustafa Muhammad al-Amin received 114 books, revealed over a period of 22 years 610 to 632 AD. Quran was revealed by way of the Anunnaki Elohim Nusk, Gabriel, in the Quraysh dialect. The Quran was first inscribed in the heavens by the spiritual pen and recited by Nusk to Muhammad. The Quran was in a perfect state before it was sent down. When Gabriel told Muhammad to read, he was telling him to read from this great book Kitab, the mother of all scriptures. The Quran circulating today is not the original Quran. It has been tampered with by the hands of mortal men who have changed the words of Allah, Eli. The original Quran was in the dialect of the Quraysh tribe and was entrusted to Ali, the rightful Khalifa, successor. The original Quran was taken and protected by Muhammad's true descendants in Sudan. After the original copies of the Quran were burned at the order of Uthman son of Affan ibn Abil Asi, false copies were distributed. Uthman, according to the Sunni sect, is the third recognized Khalifa who is responsible for rearranging the chapters in the Quran. Is Islam an evil religion? And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. Revelation 12:15 translated by King James, 1611 AD, and the snake spat, from the Ashuric/Syriac, Arabic, translation, out of his mouth water as a flood. The news media will paint an ugly picture of Al-Islam, the peace, Muslim equals mu, one of, plus Salam, peace, Jerusalem equals Jeru, city of, plus Salam. The peacemakers are seen as terrorists, and inhumane killers, when it is actually Shakar, Tarnush, Satan who is causing chaos. This flood sent out after the confidant wife, tabernacle, so that he will cause her to be carried away by the flood. Through his web of lies, the evil one will try to chase the purified ones, al-Muqlajan, away. Islam is in the hands of demons, and they are the focus of the media. However, there are obviously peaceful people still practicing the faith. The devil can be anybody who loses touch with reality, goes ego-tripping, and pouts out of smokeless fire, which is what Iblis did when he was asked to bow down to Adam. Therefore, when the word fire is used when referring to Iblis being created from fire is talking about his aura or his Kirlian form. Quran 55:15 confirms this because it says, and I quote, "And he created jinns from fire free of smoke or smokeless fire." There is no such thing as a fire free of smoke. So, it is obvious that this verse was not talking about your normal everyday fire. And he created the jinn from the flames of fire, of the first sun cycle.